A country smaller than West Virginia. No coastline. No oil. No diamonds. Surrounded by mountains so steep. Half the land is basically uninhabitable. And yet, Switzerland has one of the highest GDPs per capita on Earth. Almost $90,000 per person. That's more than the US, Germany, and Japan? So how did a tiny landlocked country become one of the richest places in human history? Let's start with the map. Switzerland sits right in the heart of Europe. Germany to the north, France to the west, Italy to the south, Austria to the east. Now, those mountains, the Alps, they cover about 60% of the country. For centuries, that seemed like a disadvantage. Farming was difficult. Expansion was nearly impossible. But geography gave Switzerland something far more valuable than flat land. It gave them position. Switzerland controls major alpine passes, routes that connect northern and southern Europe. For hundreds of years, anyone who wanted to move goods between Italy and Germany had to go through Switzerland. That turned the Swiss into master middlemen. They didn't need resources. They had something better: access. And being surrounded by mountains created a natural fortress. Invading Switzerland was a logistical nightmare. That geographic shield would shape everything that came next. In 1815, the Congress of Vienna officially recognized Swiss neutrality. But the Swiss had been practicing it long before that, while the rest of Europe tore itself apart. 2 world wars. The Napoleonic Wars. The Cold War. Switzerland stayed out. Think about what that means. No war damage. No destroyed factories. No decimated workforce. While neighboring countries spent decades rebuilding, Switzerland just kept building. Neutrality wasn't passive. It was a strategy. It made Switzerland the place where everyone could do business. Enemy nations could sit across the same table in Geneva. Opposing sides could park their money in the same Zurich bank. The Swiss didn't pick sides, and that made them indispensable to every side. This stability attracted international organizations. The Red Cross, the United Nations European Headquarters, the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization. Geneva alone hosts over 30 international organizations. That concentration of global power isn't an accident. It's the direct result of centuries of strategic neutrality. Now let's talk about the money. Swiss banking didn't become legendary by accident. In 1934, Switzerland passed the Banking Act, making it a federal crime for bankers to reveal client information. That single law transformed Switzerland into the world's safe deposit box. During World War II, while bombs fell across Europe, Swiss banks offered something no one else could: safety, secrecy, stability. Money poured in from everywhere. And it never really stopped. Today, Switzerland manages roughly 27% of all global cross-border wealth. Let that number sink in. More than a quarter of the world's offshore money sits in Swiss banks. The financial sector now accounts for about 10% of Switzerland's entire GDP. Zurich and Geneva rank among the top financial centers on the planet. But here's what most people miss. Banking was just the beginning. The wealth from finance didn't sit in vaults. It funded something else entirely. Industries. Switzerland doesn't make things in bulk. It makes things no one else can. Start with watches. Swiss watchmaking goes back to the 16th century. Today, Switzerland produces only about 2% of the world's watches, but captures over half of the global revenue. Then there's pharmaceuticals. Novartis and Roche, both headquartered in Basel. are among the largest pharmaceutical companies on Earth. The Swiss pharma industry alone generates over $80 billion in exports annually. And it doesn't stop there. Engineering, chemicals, precision machinery. Companies like Abbey, Nestlé, Glencore. Switzerland has more multinational headquarters per capita than any other country. The pattern is consistent. Switzerland doesn't compete on volume. It competes on precision, quality, and trust. A Swiss-made label isn't just marketing. It's a centuries-old reputation backed by obsessive standards. And that reputation commands premium prices across every industry they touch. But none of this works without people who can actually deliver. Switzerland spends heavily on education. ETH Zurich and EPFL consistently rank among the top universities on the planet. 23 Nobel Prize winners have been affiliated with ETH Zurich alone, including one you might have heard of, Albert Einstein. The Swiss vocational system is equally powerful. About 2/3 of Swiss teenagers enter apprenticeship programs. They don't just learn theory. They learn trades inside real companies. The result? One of the most skilled workforces in the world. And an unemployment rate that rarely climbs above 3%. Switzerland doesn't have natural resources. So it invested in the most valuable resource of all, its people. So, how did a tiny mountainous country with no coastline become one of the richest on Earth? Geography gave it position. Neutrality gave it stability. Banking gave it capital. Industry gave it precision. And education gave it talent. Switzerland didn't get lucky. It turned every disadvantage into a strategy. No oil. Build banks. No flat land. Control the passes. No empire. Become indispensable to every empire. That's not luck. That's a masterclass.